based off of social media. And from what we know, those teen girls, was a teenage staple, food staple today. You got the hot Cheetos, you got the fast food, soda,
Yes.
alcohol, vaping. So it all goes hand
Alcohol and drugs.
alcohol and drugs.
A
Yes,
lot
ma'am.
of people eat out a lot nowadays and thinking that those types of foods are actually healthy for them because of something that they read on social media and something that's posted up in the actual restaurant that's telling you what the ingredients are, but you don't know how the ingredients are made. We know
True.
very little about those particular things, which is why I am so grateful that I actually can provide a testimony, if I may,
Yes, ma'am.
because I know that many years ago I was diagnosed by a doctor with severe depression,
Mhm.
and they wanted me to take these medications, and I didn't want to. Not because they were harmful to me. I did not want to because I said to myself, what do I look like saying that I believe in God and taking something that I know that God can cure me of?
Mhm.
And that was the day that my life changed. And I started looking at myself. I started really recovering from it because I knew at that moment that what I had to do was to look at the cause of my depression. And sometimes that's when I learned about the phrase, sometimes it's not what you do, is who you do. So I had to eliminate a lot of different things. I had to eliminate certain people from my atmosphere. And it was a slow recovery, very, very slow. And unfortunately, there are some things, and we'll talk about this in a minute when we start talking about neurotransmitters and memory. There were some things I actually still to this day do not remember. And I'm going to attribute it to my depression because it was during that time when I had the cases. And I don't, when I had to really struggle with that. And so I'm sharing this small testimony to let people know that going back to a healthy diet or going to a healthy diet and changing your environment can help in so many different levels and in so many different ways that can actually help you to manage and prevent ever going into a state of depression again. And I know that it's very hard. It's very hard to overcome it, but you have to confront it. You
Yes,
have to
ma'am.
confront the condition and you have to confront whatever it is that's causing it so that you can get rid of it. So let's I want to talk a little bit about some data if it's okay, dear sister.
Yes,
In
ma'am.
2003, it was reported that 34% of black people in the US have depression, diagnosed depression and anxiety, and that only 29% of our white counterparts do. Personally, on the one hand, I think that that may be true. And on the other hand, I'm not sure. Let me explain. Number one, when you're looking at statistics, sometimes depending upon who the researcher is, where the funding is coming from,
Yes.
what the research question is, and
Yes.
how they prove their hypothesis, and then the confidence intervals that they use can skew the result of
True.
that particular research study. And, sis, black folks go through a lot.
Yes.
No matter how hard we try, it seems as if I just can't come up, right? I just don't
Right.
matter. It's like as soon as I think that I'm on my way, I get snatched back down by whatever, because there are a lot of contributing factors to that as well.
Yes.
And that's enough to cause us to become depressed. A lot of us are stuck in jobs that we don't like, but we got to pay the bills. We have children that we must take care of. We have our families, our elders that we have to take care of, et cetera, et cetera. But don't give up hope, because it's always there, right?
Right.
But when we also think about our white counterparts, I can see how they can fall into states of depression and why those numbers might be at 29%. They have more at stake than we do.
Yes.
Politically, economically, because as the minister and as we're taught, and as it says in scripture, the sun shines on the wicked as well as the righteous. So the same economic pressure that they have, we have it too. Think about the credit card debt that people have. While ours may be minuscule to them, you only $20,000 in credit card debt. Look at mine. I'm at $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 in credit card debt. They think they own a house, and at any minute now, the bank can come and repossess it. Right. So those are a lot of things that can take a person over the edge and cause a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression. What do you think? Yeah. What do you say that people do when they're anxious and when they're depressed, Sister Chantel?
I'm gonna go back to that 34% of diagnosed.
Yes, diagnosed cases.
Okay, I would say 34% diagnosed may be correct, because the only reason why I'm saying that is because Black people, rightfully so, have a stigma against going to doctors. Especially, was a psychiatrist, psychologist, anything doing with mental health. I believe, as far as depression in Black people, that number is much higher.
Mm-hmm.
Look at our communities. That's a state of depression.
Oh, yes.
So just driving through a predominantly Black community makes you depressed. So, because anybody, you're an adult and you can roll your window down and throw trash out the window in your or any community. What kind of state of mind do you have?
Okay.
So I believe that's real. Those numbers, as far as the white people, 28%, I believe that's much higher. Also because they're in a constant state of mania. That's how they were made. They're mad. They're manic.
So they're kind of manic right now, huh? Over everything.
They're not well. They don't know
fear.
Who they are. Exactly.
I think it's fear. They're afraid of losing everything.
Well, that, and they don't know who they are. If you look at their track record, wherever they go, they take on a persona of brown people and Black people. Wherever they go, they destroy the civilizations and then take on that civilization's persona. They put their name on as if they did it. So,
yes.
like Hippocrates. He didn't do any of that stuff. Imhotep did that.
Yes, ma'am.
That man was depressed. So as far as nutrition and depression, again, look at our communities. We have fast food littered throughout our communities. Those corner stores where you can go and get the lowest of lowest, quote unquote, food things, to sustain yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Depression, because whatever you put into your body, and it's depleting your body of vital nutrients and vitamins that you need, or that we need.
Yeah, I love the lecture that I heard from Brother Minister Nuri Muhammad, where he talked about in Chick-fil-A sandwich, it was 55 chemicals, and it's just supposed to be bread and chicken. So that's no, but that brings us into the part of our conversation where I want to be able to define
Yes.
what behavioral health is referring to, and what depression is, and what anxiety is.
Yes.
Behavioral health refers to a broad spectrum of behaviors and the conditions they bring that are related to mental and emotional well-being. Emphasis on mental and emotional well-being. Then it ranges from anything from coping mechanisms to challenges that we have to overcome in life that we run away from, right?
Yes.
And depression is classified as a mental health condition that involves persistent and consistent low mood and a loss of interest in everything that you've ever been interested in. Anxiety is excessive worry, and it creates this attitude or this demeanor of avoiding things. That's why I said in the beginning that anxiety and depression seem to go hand in hand, and they kind of feed off of one another in one great sense. And I know that because of the depression, because of the misfiring of neurotransmitters in the brain, we'll get to that neurotransmitter issue in a minute. Because of the misfiring, depression and anxiety, in one sense, are also psychosomatic, because the thoughts that generate in our minds when we're depressed and when we are full of anxiety, the thought energy that's generating from those thoughts can lead to an actual pathology in the body.
Mhm.
And if you want to exorcise whatever that thought energy is, it can eliminate the pathological process that's causing you to be ill. Now, I can also bear witness that I was around somebody that I really didn't want to be around, but I couldn't avoid it. And I kept saying to myself, forgive me, listening audience, but I have to tell the truth on mine and my mind, because I'm trying to help everybody to understand the magnitude of our thought right now. I kept thinking to myself, Lord, I'd be glad when this is over. Oh my God, I can't stand this individual. Please let this hurry up and come. I was really actually praying. I said, because, and make me sick. Do you know that by the time I got home that evening, I was not feeling well?
Right. Right.
I had an actual head cold. And I could, for 3 days, I was sick behind that. And it was like on the middle of the second day, I said, I did this to myself. Because I said, oh, you make me sick. And why did you give that kind of power over somebody? So what, you don't like them, right? But
Right.
that just goes to show, it's comical to me now,
Yes.
but I wanted to bring that up as a witness bearer, so to speak.
And you know what?
How we can destroy ourselves and create our own pathogens.
And that reminds me of something Minister Farrakhan had stated, and I hate that I don't recall the name of the lecture or talk that he gave. Um, if someone is watching or listening, put it in the chat, please, because I don't recall. Uh, he was asked, how does he handle going into a room or situation where he knows there's people there that doesn't like him, and he said that he creates his own atmosphere. So
Yes.
we have to realize who we are
Yes.
as a people and as a person individually, and you don't let people with who's angry at themselves overcome you.
Oh, that's very true, sis, because what I learned from that is that thought processes, be they good, bad, or indifferent, their goal is to survive.
Yes.
And they can only survive if I allow them to survive.
That's right.
So, with that being said, let's talk a little bit about neurotransmitters and how the brain works. There's an organ in our brain that is so magnificently mathematically precise. It is called the hypothalamus. I call the hypothalamus the regulator because it regulates so many different things on so many different levels in our bodies. It
Yes.
regulates our body temperature. It regulates our mood. It regulates our digestion. It regulates our blood sugar levels. It regulates our blood pressure. It regulates our heart function. The regulator's job is to regulate all of this, right? But a lot of people don't realize is that when we eat the wrong food,
Yes.
the regulator or the hypothalamus can become inflamed. And once it becomes inflamed, it can't do what it's supposed to do. So as it relates to neurotransmitters that affect our ability to be able to overcome depression, you're talking about serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter. It's a chemical that regulates our mood. That can be happy, you can be sad, you can just, and that's a normal thing. I remember Brother Jabril stating that it's okay to be depressed, but don't be depressed no more than 35 minutes. He said by that time you should be able to let that go, whatever it is.
Right.
It can elevate your mood, it can make it lower, it regulates sleep. Serotonin does. Serotonin is responsible for learning and memory and digestion, blood clots, heart function. Whether or not your overall well-being is regulated by serotonin. And again, serotonin is a chemical that the hypothalamus signals for it to be dispersed throughout your body. Another neurochemical is dopamine, and they call dopamine the pleasure center of the brain.
Yes.
So when you eat, it's kind of like, and Sis Chantel, don't be sitting up there acting like you never did this. It's like when you had your mouth set on eating that burger or that piece of cake or something like that, it's like, that's something that went to the pleasure center of your brain. And unfortunately, that's the center of the brain, or the part of, that dopamine factor is what keep people addicted to drugs.
Yes.
Right. And dopamine is also responsible for memory, for movement, for mood, it's responsible for your attention span. It's responsible for behavior and cognition, lactation and learning. It is such a wonderful, wonderful neurotransmitter that can be disrupted by drugs, alcohol, and poor diet. Another neurotransmitter is norepinephrine, and it is responsible for increasing your level of alertness. And it also keeps your attention span in order. And imagine how Allah created the brain, and all of these neurotransmitters are going, these chemical signals are going back and forth at such a fast pace, and we don't even realize it.
Right.
And neurotransmitters, when they connect with the substrate, they're supposed to meet together like this. But if they will misfire if they're not being fed properly. Right. And that will cause a disruption in things that can bring on depression. And this last one is really very key: endorphins. And these are only just 4 of the very many neurotransmitters that are in our brains that regulates things throughout our body. Endorphins actually attach or are carried by signals, and it decreases stress, anxiety, and depression. Mm-hmm. It increases self-esteem, and it improves your sleep. And one thing that this study revealed is the connection between proper nutrition and having the right vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals in your diet, because those same foods have in them the things that will feed the serotonin, the dopamine, the norepinephrine, and the endorphins in a very positive way.
Right.
And I started to write that down, but then I said, nope, I'm going to let Sister Chantel, that's my girl, I'm going to let her take it away. Go ahead, sis.
Speaking of dopamine. opioids, fentanyl being the most popular, that was created to go directly to the center of the brain, to the dopamine. So that's why you have people just like crack, basically, um, without a second thought, willing to just give up everything for that feeling over and over and over again. And addiction was a quick addiction. A lot of times it only took one time and you were addicted. And they did that on purpose. And that's the same thing with you mentioned serotonin. So instead of reaching for drugs or harmful things, how about because we're not vegans in the Nation of Islam, so we go and get us some eggs. So eggs is a good source of serotonin. You can eat
It
some
is.
pineapples.
It
That's a
is.
pineapples that'll satisfy your sweet craving and serotonin fix. So we have to. I know it takes time to reach to train our palates, for certain things because even eating a certain way all your life or almost all your life, and to all of a sudden, you're switching it up. So, and I would recommend, do it slowly, um, but it can happen.
Well, we have a comment in here by RN Sir SER said that I cannot eat the raw food. Good for you, because everything new
Well,
that's out there is not necessarily good for you. So good for
no,
you, RN Sir. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
go ahead.
So to the person that made that comment, we don't eat raw food. We're not raw foodists. We not even with salad. So even when we eat salad, we eat it with something that's cooked because
Yes.
raw food would tear up your digestive system. Paraphrasing How to Live. So
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you. And sis, I found a partial list, and I pray Allah that you will bear with me, because I know Sister Chantel is more of a vitamin mineral expert than I am, but I am studying to be a nutritionist. And I have to master this, right? But I'm just going to read off a list of vitamins and minerals and talk about what the deficiencies cause. And then that will help the listening audience to connect to the point that we're trying to make. Biotin, the deficiency causes fatigue. Copper, the deficiency causes a slow nervous system, fatigue, and underdevelopment in children. Folic acid, it causes irritability, sleep disturbances, fatigue. It gives you make you have a slow mental response. Iron, depression. Without enough iron in your body, it literally causes depression. It also causes fatigue. Without lithium in your body, it causes depression. Magnesium, without enough of it, it causes sleep disturbances, irritability, and confusion. Phosphorus, too little phosphorus can also cause fatigue, irritability, weakness, and a decreased appetite. Without enough potassium in your body, you get impaired cognitive function, insomnia. Without selenium, you get fatigue. Without enough sodium in your body, the right kind of sodium in your body,
yes,
you become fatigued and you get depressed. Without proper vitamin B1, your nervous system will not function the way it's supposed to, and it causes fatigue. Vitamin B3, inability to sleep, fatigue, loss of appetite. Vitamin B5, you have sleep disturbances, fatigue, and insomnia. Vitamin B6 causes, the lack of it causes depression, drowsiness, and lethargy, or lethargy, as some, it depends. It's potato, right? Vitamin B12, lack of it causes depression, drowsiness, lethargy, irritability, mood swings, and nerve disorders. All of those things are signs and symptoms of depression and anxiety.
and
And
look how it all
look at
goes
how,
back to.
But
the
guess what,
brain.
sis? Guess what? It goes back to the brain. But guess what, y'all? Guess what? One food has every last one of these nutrients in it. The Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad tells us in How to Eat to Live, we should eat Navy beans every day.
And you all are probably like every day, because I know I
Every
did the
day.
same thing. So, and
Every
you
day.
can, you don't have to just be bean soup. You can take a tablespoon of cooked navy beans, and trust me, you're not going to taste it. You can put it in your smoothie. You can make navy bean tacos. You can, I mean,
Yes,
it's so many, it's so much to explore. And yeah, we have options.
there's a sister here, and I'm gonna give her a shout out. Her name is Sister Robin X out of Muhammad Mosque number 54 in Compton, California, who created a navy bean base, protein base for smoothies.
Mm,
Because you know how they had a
okay.
plant-based stuff for smoothies? She created one out of navy
Yeah.
beans.
Wow.
And after Sister Chantel talks a little bit about the vitamins and the minerals, I'm going to read to the audience something that I have the nutrition label for one cup of cooked navy beans. Go ahead, Sister Chantel.
Okay, I want to talk about vitamin D.
Okay.
Vitamin D is vital for women, especially. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I say this is because when we lack vitamin D, when
Mm-hmm.
we hit a certain age or age range and menopause kicks in, most people associate menopause with hot flashes, mood swings, you can't sleep, and all kind of other symptoms, very irritating symptoms. However, we don't have to go through those things if we uptake our vitamin D, which is
Oh,
through organic Greek yogurt, organic eggs, organic milk, dairy milk, and eliminate. You want to eliminate soy. You want to, I don't want to say eliminate, but cut down, reduce greatly sugar, caffeine, and I'm sorry, spices. But we do have to eliminate fried foods. All these things contribute greatly to adverse symptoms. And then, so when you have menopause, you go to the doctor, they want to put you on these hormone replacement therapy. And that hormone replacement therapy has been linked to cancer of all sorts, ovarian cancer, breast cancer, cervical cancer, you name it, it has been linked to cancer.
yes,
So
ma'am.
that's what I have to say about the vitamin D.
Sis, I find it so strange that people out here in LA and California have vitamin D deficiencies. I really do. We don't sit inside the house the way that the picture is being painted. We don't. Those of us that work, we can't wait till it's time to go outside for some kind of break.
Yeah,
I got to get out of this office. I have to get out of this building. Let me go stand over here in the sun.
right.
You will
But
bake in your car with the sun shining. Look, you get enough sun coming through the windshield of your car to last you a whole week. I'm
yeah,
saying that in a facetious, joking kind of manner. But and I've learned that depending upon the healthcare entity, there's a
hmm
possibility that they have their lab things set for a certain number for it to be the standard or the norm for that particular facility. And say, for
hmm
example, if you have X amount of this and it shows up in your blood, then you're vitamin D deficient. Where across town you have another lab or another healthcare facility or entity that will tell you, no, ma'am, you do not have a vitamin D deficiency.
yes,
Because
ma'am.
Yeah, so it's kind of like sometimes I wonder, is it true or is it not true if somebody actually has a deficiency or not? Because
Right.
there's a big push to
Hmm.
prescribe vitamin D tablets. And they have one that you can take every day.
Yeah.
Then they have one that you can take once a week.
Yes.
The ones that you take once a week are prescribed at 50,000 units, and you take it once a week. And sometimes people's reactions or the side effects actually bother them, meaning, like, I took them
Yes.
and it would wipe me out for a whole weekend.
Well, I would say if
Heart
someone is like,
palpitations, chest pain, and heart palpitations.
oh my goodness,
Yes.
I would say if someone is going to take something, it should be like a food base. Take a whole food supplement,
Mm-hmm.
so that way you want to make sure it's GMO free or all that stuff. And also you said that you all yeah, you guys get a lot of sun out your way.
Yes.
However, Los Angeles, California, just like any other states in the United States, um, inundated. The air is inundated with toxic chemicals.
Okay.
I'm talking about over 100. And, so we out here trying to get plenty of sun because it's not just vitamin D. There's all kind of benefits from the sun. But so it's competing with all those chemicals.
So you think the chemicals in the air are environmental factors that kind of block us from getting 100% of the sun's
Yes, ma'am.
rays on
Of
us?
the positive effects, yes, ma'am. Just like when
Okay.
we eat food, the environment that it grows in really it matters a lot. So, like we can grow whatever we're gonna grow, but if that soil is not healthy and it's full of chemicals, then whatever you're growing is gonna be full of chemicals.
True that, and that's why we're asked not to eat a lot of different grasses,
Correct.
because a lot of the vegetation that we like to eat have a lot of toxins in them because they absorb toxins.
Yes, ma'am.
Kale is one of those that it absorbs a lot of toxins from the earth, and it looks very pretty on the shelf, even if it's organic. But
Yeah,
as they say in Domino's, all money ain't good money, right?
that's right. And kale
So,
destroys your thyroid.
ma'am,
And kales destroyed the thyroid. It completely destroys the thyroid.
talk about that for a minute. In what way does it destroy the thyroid?
Kale is I don't know if I'm saying this word right, a goitrogen. Goitrogen, I believe it's called goitrogen. Goitrogen.
Okay.
That attacks the thyroid.
Oh my.
So to say you're a person that is, you're a little overweight and you're going to the gym
Mm-hmm.
on a regular basis, you're working out on a regular basis. You may be fasting. You doing what you believe is right, and you have your kale smoothie because they get on this kale craze. You're having your smoothie every morning, um, and you're trying to figure out why the weight not going anywhere. You're trying to figure out why doesn't seem like all your hard work is being beneficial. And the thyroid is controls your weight. One of the things that control our weight. But you have to look back at what you're drinking every morning after your workout. This kale smoothie. So once you take this kale out, then resume your other activities and you'll see the difference.
Oh wow. Sis, you sound like you talking from experience with that kale smoothie thing. Hold on.
Yeah. No, no.
Well,
But
it's okay. I mean, if you do, it's okay, because a lot of times we do better helping people by bearing witness. I was actually teasing you when I said that because I know you don't do that.
But spinach has the same effect.
Huh?
That's why spinach has the same effect. So we are instructed in How to Eat to Live not to eat so much spinach. We
So
can have a little bit of spinach, but it has the same effect as kale.
I can't see. I don't know. When I think of smoothie, I think of something partially sweet and
Right.
fruit.
Right.
So I don't think I would want that in a smoothie anyway. Anyway,
No.
thank you for sharing that. I wanted to just read briefly about the vitamin and mineral sources that are in 1 cup of cooked boiled navy beans. You have 708 milligrams, which is 20% of your daily value of potassium that we need. You have 19.1 grams of dietary fiber. You have no sugar. You have 15 grams of protein, which is 30% of our daily requirement. You have 3% vitamin C, 13% of your daily value of calcium. You have 24% of your daily value of iron. You have 7% of your daily value of riboflavin, folate 64%. You have phosphorus at 26%, copper 19% of your daily value, zinc 12% of your daily value, selenium 8% of your daily value, manganese 48%, and magnesium, if I didn't say it already, 24%. And I am waiting for Sister Chantel to come back on, but brothers and sisters, this navy bean is so magical. It is so very magical for us to be able to actually have it at our disposal so that we can get it. 1 cup provides all of that. And all of those nutrients that's in that 1 cup of navy beans can actually restore our mental state of mind. Sister Chantel, I don't know if you heard me, but
I did. I heard you the whole time. Yes, ma'am.
All praises to Allah. Can you imagine, sis? All that what? 708 milligrams of potassium. And brothers and sisters, whether y'all know it or not, potassium is an electrolyte.
Yeah.
Sodium and potassium go hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly, like hand in glove, right?
Yes. Yes.
And what it does, it helps with the function of your cells on an intracellular level and on an intracellular level. Without sodium and potassium, we basically would just go and wither and die. And so that's why sometimes when we feel dehydrated, that's because it doesn't have anything necessarily to do with the sodium. You just might have too much potassium in your cell.
And now when you say,
go ahead.
Well, when you say we should just might wither and die, is it because the heart needs the potassium?
Well, I'm talking about sodium and potassium. I'm talking about electrolytes as a whole, not just one or two. Because you have at least 4 or 5 different electrolytes. Sodium and potassium are necessary for the fluid exchange across cell membranes.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
One goes into the cell, and when one goes in, the other one comes out. It's kind of like us breathing in oxygen and exhaling CO2.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
That's how sodium and potassium work. But sis, this particular, I'm just marveling at how nutritious the navy bean is.
Yes. Yes.
And how magnificently precise the human body is. It's so mathematically precise. If one tiny little thing, one detail is not taken care of properly, it can the rest of the body will compensate because that's a blessing from Almighty God. But when you
Yes, ma'am.
start feeling little aches and pains, or when you
Hmm.
starting not to remember, or if you start to feel that you are a little bit depressed,
Right.
that's a sign. And we got to get back to that because I was so enthralled with this, with the nutrition aspect of it. All of those
Hmm.
things that I talked about as far as the minerals and the vitamins, et cetera, et cetera, I first discussed and talked about the vitamin and mineral deficiencies that contribute to depression.
Right.
And iron is one of the biggest things, ladies. Iron supplements, I'm not going to say take them or not take them, but I can give you grandma's answer. Go to a store and get you some blackstrap molasses
We're
and
not
take
doing that.
a teaspoon
No,
every
ma'am.
other day. It's chock full of iron. And I
I
can
understand that. I'm gonna tell you now. We're not doing that. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We can you
this
can we have
uh-uh.
other options. There's other yes, ma'am.
You
We
know
got
what?
other
No,
options.
we do have other options, but to me, I'm an old school person, sis. And I know that you may not want the blackstrap molasses, and it's okay if you don't, but I know that it works wonders, and
It
it does
does.
not, it has more sodium in it than it does sugar, and you can
Hmm.
taste it. It's not you hear the word molasses, you're thinking that maybe it's really, really sweet. In all honesty and truth, blackstrap molasses is not, and it
No.
has a strange taste, and it has an aftertaste. Drink you some water and keep it moving. Because
When I say we have options, I was talking about like we can get some beet juice and mix it with some apple juice. We can get you
are
can have
you are talking about freshly pressed apple
freshly
juice
pressed.
and beet
You can
juice,
we can do it that way. Yes, ma'am. Or
or
we could you got GMO free whole food supplement for iron. And then you also have another one that I like. It's liquid and you can get it from a natural health store. Floridix, that's an iron. And if you
my daughter gave
notice,
me some of that. That one's not half bad. And it's
right,
very natural
it's
because it's derived from very many different types of fruits. I've had
yes,
that one.
ma'am.
Anything liquid
Yep,
going in your body will benefit your body more than a
yes,
tablet or a capsule, by the way.
that's right. That's right. And iron, a lot of I would say the majority of us are low in iron. You see a lot of us walking around here eating on ice, like like it's food. But, that's because we low in iron. And I'm one of them.
So you walking around, so you got that mason jar full of ice next to you, sister
That's
Chantel.
me. That is me. Yes,
Funny.
that's ma'am.
You're funny. But you just right. Oh, did y'all hear her listening audience? The way she came at me when I said blackstrap molasses. Did
We're
that
not doing that.
does that generate a bad memory in you, Sister Chantel? I hope not. I hope not. To
Well,
each his own.
you know what? So I
But
have two things that I'm like, okay, I know it's good for you. Psyllium husk is very good for you. Blackstrap molasses is very good for you. Do I take it? No, ma'am. But
say you found another way.
I
And
found
you're
another
probably
way.
thinking in your head, thank God I found another way, right?
It's
And
always it's always another way.
it's totally okay. And I'm not I know that I'm not iron deficient, right? So, so the black strap is working for me, so and it's all good and it's real good. And I know that I am very grateful that I was guided
Mm,
in such a way where I could study myself
mm,
because different things, trauma that you can't unfeel or trauma that you cannot unsee,
yeah,
trauma that you can't unhear, right?
that's right.
Seeps rather into our subconscious minds,
Hmm.
and it can get all of these little things going around and twisting around, and you seek and trying to find something that's going to make you feel back to yourself. and we look for everything outside of ourselves
Right.
with the hopes that that can help me feel like I'm normal again, like I'm me again. And so we look for alcohol and drugs. A lot of people look for things that so they can get that instant gratification, like some kind of cookies, cakes, pies,
Yeah.
because the refined sugar gets you high too. So we know all about the grass that
Yeah.
changed the world, right, Sister
That's
Chantel?
right. Oh, you got that book. Okay.
Yeah, I got that. If y'all want to know what we're talking about, there is a book out there called The
Hmm.
Grass That Changed the World. It might be a slow read to some, but for nerds like me and Chantel, it was a good book.
I was like, slow read. That wasn't a slow read, but
To some people, it could be. I can see how it could
yeah.
be, but it talked
Yeah.
about the sugar industry.
Hmm.
That's basically what that book is for. But
Yes.
I know that it's a long ride, because sometimes we never know, because what is causing states of depression in somebody, and it's hard for them, it's hard for somebody that's depressed to actually reach out for help. But don't give up on them. You help them the best way that you can. You love them as much as you can, and don't throw them away. Don't turn your back on them. And as much as you can, for those of you who suffer from this, if you are listening, do your best to try to change your diet. The study guides that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave us for self-improvement, there are 3 study guides that I would recommend that some of us delve into. Overcoming difficulty and the struggle for balance, and your intimate relationship with God. Because those are the study guides that helped me get through my depression. And I'm telling you, it took years, but it can be done. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. We have to make sure that we do all that we can for our young people. The majority of our young people now that we have, 12 to 17 years old, is way, 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 way too young for them to be in such a state of depression that they don't know where to turn, and they're taking their own lives. I'm not mocking it, because it's a reality in our community.
Yeah.
It's a reality in many communities, but especially in the Black community. For those of us that go out in the field in some kind of work and do service work every single day, the best way to help somebody when they are depressed is to befriend them. Don't turn your back on them. Allow them the time to heal. And most importantly, in my opinion, is to let's build something which is a safe place for them to go. Because the hugs and the words of encouragement, it can get dashed with them going back into the same environment.
Yeah.
It can. And if they have a safe place to go, let's build that for them. We owe them that. We owe that to them, because we say the children are our future, right?
Right.
So to allow them to die as you're committing suicide yourself. So, brothers and sisters, I pray a lot that you all got something from this conversation, because one of the greatest contributing factors, and also one of the treatments, I'm sorry, I did not mean to say treatment, preventative measures that we can do for an intervention, is to improve what it is that we eat. And go to finalcallstore.com, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
And order How to Eat to Live, book 1 and 2, both written by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And once you delve into those books and look at the simple foods that the navy bean, broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, those things are chock full of vitamins and minerals that our body needs, that our brain needs. We have to help the regulator regulate, right? We have to help the hypothalamus do what it does.
That's right. And asparagus is full of copper.
Yes, it is. So, brothers and sisters, I think we got just a few more minutes. And Sister Chantel, I thank you so much. I enjoy having you on the show. I enjoy listening to your conversations. And y'all, don't y'all be fooled by that sweet little demeanor that she has on this show. Sister Chantel is like a walking medical library. She really is. She what they call it? She walks softly but carry a big stick. Yes. And if you were to go in an encyclopedia and look up the word nerd, you will probably see both our pictures in there because we get so excited over some of the nerdiest things ever. But it's always related to doing something for our people. It's always related to how we can improve a knowledge base to help our people know the importance of how to eat to live. Right. And with that being said, I love you all. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for being here, Sister Chantel. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Assalamu alaikum. All right. I'm going to end the stream right now. There we go.